Wildcard weekend concludes tonight with 2 more games, and just like that, we'll be through the first round of the playoffs and only 8 teams will remain. Yesterday's picks did not go so well. We were 0-2, but I can't even be upset about it. The Packers played so well at Dallas, a place where the Cowboys hadn't lost in 16 straight games. The final score was 48-32. It was not that close. They blew them off the field. And you cannot be anything but happy for Lions fans. They've won a playoff game for the first time in 30 years. Dan Campbell he's so much fun to watch. So I wish I had picked him the other way around. I picked the wrong upset, obviously. But we have 2 more games to talk about today. And the first one is the Steelers visiting the Bills. This game was rescheduled from Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern to Monday at 4:30 Eastern. This is all due to the snow. And from what I last saw, there's still a lot of snow on the field, a lot of snow in the stadium. When it comes to what that actually affects, it's really not a big deal for a quarterback throwing the ball. As long as it's not like a rainy snow mix, they can typically grip and throw the ball just fine. It's more about receivers keeping their footing on routes where they have to make a sharp cut or anything like that. That's what you really have to look at in the passing game. And in the running game, I think both teams are going to try to lean on the run. Obviously, the Steelers have gotten here with their 3-game win streak, relying on Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, and of course, Mason Rudolph playing efficient ball and taking calculated risks down the field to George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. The Bills themselves are coming into this game on a bit of a hot streak, winners of 5 straight, and really since elevating Joe Brady to offensive coordinator, it seems to have turned the entire season around. They've unlocked the run game, which is probably the biggest factor in all this. James Cook has suddenly become a real weapon for them. Now, Gabe Davis is out for this game, which is definitely a big deal, but they've still got Diggs, they've still got Dalton Kincaid, and ultimately they've still got Josh Allen, who is the biggest X factor in the entire game, no doubt. So what does the game come down to? For the Bills, I think it's as simple as just playing mistake-free football, which is definitely easier said than done on a snowy field, but on paper, they're the better team. They've got the better quarterback. I think the way they've been playing for the last 5-6 weeks now really does show what they're capable of. Even the loss to Philadelphia, they darn near won that game. I think it was a 59-yard field goal in a driving rainstorm by Jake Elliott. Didn't even put that into overtime to begin with. But that's what I think they need to do. Josh Allen needs to be careful in the red zone. He can't be just chucking up prayers into the end zone that get intercepted. And James Cook needs to hold on to the ball. He does have a tendency to fumble. If they can do that, I think they're going to be just fine. For the Steelers, I think there's 2 main factors in this. Obviously, they have to win the turnover battle. If they turn the ball over more than the Bills, they're not winning the game. You cannot give Josh Allen extra possessions, especially at home. But more importantly than that, I think they have to hold the Bills to 3 when they get into the red zone. And, if Josh Allen does make those mistakes where he throws up a jump ball basically in the end zone, they got to come down with it, make those interceptions, keep the Bills from running up the score. I don't think they're going to be able to establish a lot of offense. I think they'll get the run game going, and I think Mason Rudolph's going to find some guys down the field, but they can't afford to get into a shootout with the Bills, so they got to keep it low scoring. The defense has to step up when the Bills make it into the red zone, and really on the other end of the field, they got to punch it in for 7 when they get down into the red zone. So very simple concept for both, basically down to the fundamentals, but in a game like this on a snowy field, I think that's what it is. Yes, this is a homer pick. If you're a Bills fan, I want you to understand you would pick the Bills if you were in the exact same situation. What is football fandom if you can't talk yourself into thinking your team's going to win a playoff game that they probably shouldn't even be in and definitely are not favored in? I'm picking the Steelers for 2 reasons. Number 1, the 2-headed monster at running back, Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. That thunder and lightning duo, in a game that's going to be cold, that's going to test players' willpower, how many times do you want to tackle Najee Harris? And if they can wear him down, Jaylen Warren is going to get big chunks of yardage, whether it's in the run game or in the screen game. And of course, Mason Rudolph's got to find George Pickens and Deontay Johnson down the field. My other reason, though, is that propensity of Josh Allen to turn the ball over at inopportune times. Again, the Steelers have to capitalize on it if he does it. But I think in a game like this that may end up being lower scoring, you have to be so careful with the ball, and Josh Allen hasn't exactly done that. So again, like I said, complete homer pick. Don't be mad at me if you're a Bills fan. It's literally It's fandom at its finest, but I've talked myself into it. Steelers are winning the game. I'm picking them to win. And moving to the final game of the wildcard round, the Eagles visiting the Buccaneers. This whole playoff seeding thing where the 4 division leaders host a home playoff game, this has happened now 2 years in a row with Tampa. They've had a worse record than their wildcard opponent, but they get the home game. The Eagles can't do anything right as of late. I think they're 1-5 in their last 6 games, and that one was a tough-fought win over the Giants on Christmas Day. They almost let the Giants back into that game a couple of different times. And Tampa themselves have kind of backed into the playoffs. They lost badly to the Saints. They barely beat the Panthers. If they don't get that early fumble touchback, and instead that's a touchdown, maybe that 9-0 win doesn't end up going that way. But regardless, Tampa gets the home game, and Baker Mayfield, he's actually played pretty darn well. And the Eagles defense, my goodness, I mean, everybody they've played has gone up and down the field on them. And you gotta wonder, is Tampa gonna be able to do the same thing? A couple of noteworthy injuries. A.J. Brown is out, which definitely hampers the Eagles' offense. Baker Mayfield is pretty banged up. He's got a couple injuries, ankle, ribs. He's questionable for the game. I have next to no doubt he's going to go. He's played through a lot of injuries, a lot of pain before. That really doesn't concern me. I do think, though, he may be playing at less than 100%. A lot of guys are. Is that time of year, but that is something to take into account. So I think the game comes down to basically 2 things. For the Buccaneers, they got to find a way to get up early. If they can build a lead and kind of make the Eagles look at this season, they were 10-1 at one time, 1-5 in their last 6 games, and just almost feel the walls closing in, I think the psychological factor of everything going on with them becomes too much. So if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm doing everything in my power to get a 7-10 point lead, try to make the Eagles into a passing team, and at that point, they're not nearly as dangerous. It's their run game that really makes them so dangerous. The play action passes off it, all that stuff. If they can build a lead, I really think they can win this game running away. It's going to end up being close, no doubt, because the Eagles will score points. It's just what they do. But I think Tampa needs to take some shots and try to get up in the game early. Because if they do let the Eagles start to feel themselves, they made it all the way to the Super Bowl last year. They haven't forgotten what that's like. If they get into a little bit of a rhythm early and they end up taking a lead, it could go downhill really fast for Baker Mayfield and that Buccaneers squad. And so I kind of already said it there. For the Eagles, if they can build a lead, obviously that's a big deal. But their defense has been so bad, I don't think it's just that simple. I think more importantly than building a lead for them and starting to kind of build that rhythm, is building a rhythm through the run game. They're far more dangerous when they can run the ball efficiently and effectively. And with A.J. Brown out, they got to do it. They have to commit to the run, and they have to have that offensive line firing off the ball, moving guys, and gaining a lot of yards in the run game. If they can do that, the play action passes open up. Devontae Smith's still a really good receiver. They've still got Dallas Goedert, and all the things they can do so well with RPOs and, again, the play action passes, quarterback draws with Jalen Hurts, all that stuff opens up if they can establish the run game. I do think they got to keep on scoring, though. I don't think just building a 7-point lead is enough for them. That defense has been so suspect. On offense, every time they get the ball, they got to be looking to march it down the field and at least get 3, because I think they're going to need a lot of points. I do think with the weapons Tampa has, even if Baker Mayfield is kind of banged up, it could be problematic for the Eagles if they just maybe build a 10-point lead, something like that, and try to sit on it. I don't think they can play that game. They have to keep on scoring points. If they get up in the game, they've got to keep their foot on the pedal. So all that being said, this one is a complete toss-up for me. I don't know which direction to go with, and I think because of that, I'm just going to pick the home team. I really don't have much faith in the Buccaneers either, but I don't know what to do, and I kind of think the Eagles are maybe too far gone, and I just think the game plan for the Buccaneers is simpler. So I'm going to pick the Bucs to win, and we'll see where we end up at the end of Wildcard Weekend. That is going to do it for this one. Also, sorry the game that was going on behind all this wasn't very competitive. I try to get close games that are more interesting to watch, but had to get this video out today. I went on to record a game, and that's what we got. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Enjoy the games, and I'll see you next week for the divisional round.